So I almost didn't join EXP Realty. And the reason is, so I was legitimately prospected by dozens and dozens of agents. I'm sure this sounds pretty familiar, but I was prospected by dozens of agents for nearly a year and a half. And I was so hesitant to joining EXP Realty for a number of reasons. Number one, look, I was at a fantastic company. I loved my brokerage. I loved the people there. I loved, they treated me well. And I had a really good split. And I had no real reason to go. I mean, I was happy. I was content. And I was constantly told about how great EXP Realty was. And they kept telling me something about revenue share. And look, full disclosure, I've been at EXP Realty now for a little over a year and a half. And I was at Keller Williams, which had profit share. And I really never made a lot of money at profit share, and I had brought on, a couple dozen agents, and I never really saw any money from it. So when they said about revenue share, I got really, turned off, because why would I up and leave everything I built? And I made this story up in my head about how much it was. I literally told my friend who ended up bringing me into the company that it was going to cost me $50,000 to switch brokerages. I remember saying that. I even have an email telling him about that. I was like, dude, it's gonna cost me 50 grand to switch between signs and marketing and all this other stuff. Like, I made up this crazy story in my head about how much money it was gonna cost. And that was a big reason. He starts telling me about revenue share, and I remember this was about a year and a half before I switched. And he basically went on this tangent about how great revenue share was. And at first I was, again, pretty skeptical, because again, I was at Keller Williams with profit share. And when he was diving into revenue share and everything it was about, I was like, okay, this sounds pretty interesting, but again, I never made any money at profit share, so why would I believe this is any better? So you know what I did? I said, fine, you go do it. Prove me wrong. So he went, and he brought on a ton of people, just like he said he was going to. I stayed at Keller Williams. I was super happy, kept selling tens of millions of dollars worth of real estate at the company. Had a great year. I check in with him 6 months later, still doing great. 12 months later, still doing great. And I never really brought up how much he was making in revenue share. And then I finally asked him, I was like, listen, I gotta ask you, how much money are you making in revenue share? He told me a number that blew me away. This was money that I was even making selling tens of millions of dollars selling real estate every month. I mean, it was unbelievable how much money he was making in in revenue share. And it really made me think for a second. I was like, wait a second, this guy's making as much money in a month as I am in a month, but that's just from people he's attracted to the company. And I was blown away. Again, this was residual income. And I was hustling every day, all day. Ever feel like this? Going up in the roller coaster, real estate, the financial roller coaster, right? And you don't know if you're going to sell property, if you don't know if the deal's going to go through, and you don't know if you're going to end up closing all the deals that are in your pipeline, and you're kind of stressing out because you got bills that are coming up and all this kind of stuff. You ever feel that way? Yeah, so he's relaxing, and I'm stressing, and we're making so much, the same amount of money. And I didn't get it at first. Thankfully, I took a second look at it, and I really started running the numbers. I realized it wasn't going to cost me $50,000. It was barely going to cost me $500 to switch. Again, I hadn't created this story. And the reason why I share this with you guys is because I looked back, and between the stock options and the revenue share, the amount of money that I missed out on over legitimately, I'm talking a 17 or 18 month period of time. Call it a year and a half to be conservative. The amount of money that I missed out on between stock options and the normal, exactly the same amount of business. If I sold between Keller Williams and EXP, right? I was at Keller Williams, if I would have went to EXP, would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars. The real number came to about 315 grand that I missed out on because of stock options that I would have been awarded by selling real estate because the stock blew up. Thankfully, I still got in before the stock, I got in about 6 months before the stock blew up, but it was like a 2-year span, right? Between the stock options I would have been awarded, the revenue share of the people that I would have brought on, bringing on basically the same amount of people, but who would have brought on people because they all switched to EXP Realty, and if I would have just switched sooner, they would have been with me. They even told me that. The amount of money was nearly $315,000. I want to throw up thinking about it. I still want to throw up thinking about it. But I want you to understand, when someone is talking to you about this company, everyone always goes like, whoa, 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 whoa. I know what you're trying to do because you're trying to make money on me. You have to understand how many people you really need to attract to make any substantial money. I'm being honest. It's not like all of a sudden you're a millionaire because you brought on one person. I mean, calm down. But I want you to understand that if I would have taken my friends seriously a year and a half sooner, it would have been an extra $315,000 in my bank account. And let's just say it like this. Let's say it was a tenth of that. It was only $30,000. 10% of what was estimated. How much would an extra $30,000 feel right now in your bank account? Like, how good would that feel? I'm sure it would feel great. You could use an extra 30 grand. I could use an extra 30 grand. Right? We all could. And I want you to realize that, like, it's not just about the money aspect as it is the lifestyle and the stress reliever that EXP allows. Because listen, every other company is just going to want to have you sell real estate to the day you die. And you have to realize that a big aspect of what this company does for people is that it takes stress off their plate. It allows them to focus on living the life that they truly deserve instead of just having to focus on the daily grind of just making the calls and making the calls and making the calls. I mean, imagine if you could even just earn 20% of what you're making right now. If you're making 10 grand a month, imagine making $2,000 residually. That will slowly grow. Then all of a sudden, 6 months later, it's $2,500. 6 months later, it's $3,000. Now it's $4,000. Now it's $5,000. A couple years later, now it's $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000. I mean, imagine making $100,000 a year residually. This is what people are trying to share with you. It's a gift. So stop pushing them off. And the one thing I hear the most that I just find it fascinating now is people say that they are content. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm content where I'm at. Now here's the thing. When I hear people say that, I don't believe they actually have run the numbers. So I am challenging you now. Run the numbers. Analyze the numbers. Break it down based on how many deals you're going to sell this year, what your split is, versus what you can make at EXP Realty. Because listen, I'm not even saying that I don't need to be your sponsor. It has nothing to do with that. I'm just saying for you, for your family, for your friends, for your community, they deserve what you can bring to the table. They deserve a more free version of you, a more wealthy version of you. And EXP Realty is one of the only companies that actually will help you eventually retire. I challenge you, run the numbers and see exactly what's going to change. Because I assure you, I've run the numbers with hundreds of agents that I've had conversations with. And every single time, it's a minimum 15 to 20% bump in income for no difference in production. Same exact production levels. It's a minimum 15 to 20% bump in income for a large majority of the agents that I'm talking to. And if you think that I'm wrong, run the numbers. I challenge you to run the numbers. Because for a lot of agents, it was closer to 20 or 30%. But for a large majority, it was 15 or 20, right? And I make this video for the few out there who are just sick and tired of just being complacent, just being content. Because life is not just about being content. It's about striving for everything that you can possibly achieve, reaching your full potential, raising your standards each and every single day, every week, every month, every year. And if that's you, if this resonates with you, you need to comment down below. I'll reach out to you, or click the link down below, even better. Schedule a call with me. Let's have a conversation. Let's run the numbers together, because I'd love to run with you and help you build the life of your dreams. So I almost didn't join EXP Realty. And the reason is, so I was legitimately prospected by dozens and dozens of agents. I'm sure this sounds pretty familiar,